We're delighted to welcome back to the show Anne Rossiter. Welcome, Anne.
Pleased to be here. And I come quite often, like you. It's a home from home. There was a time when I would run away from a home from home. That was the last thing I ever wanted. But now, when you get to be an octogenarian, there are sentimental reasons, I think. Yeah, we can bury a bit of the past and be here and enjoy the company.
Now, last time you were here, you came to review the film Anne, one about the girl who...
Anne Lover. She lost her baby in front of the statue of the Virgin Mary, didn't she, in Ireland, in a grotto. And then you talked about your own experience.
I had had a backstreet abortion, but luckily I ended up in St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington. I was one of those girls who didn't know, as I think one of many, if not all of the girls, we didn't know that sex meant babies, because I didn't know anything about sex, except that it seemed to be a very nice preoccupation, a very nice leisure activity, I think I should say. But it had consequences, as I soon found out. And being a lone Irish girl here with a relative, but you dare not tell. Yeah, I had to find my own way. Yeah. But anyway, I found my way to France. And that was a bit of a liberating experience. I went to the Sorbonne because I thought that if Jackie Kennedy could get in, I could get in. Talk about the foolishness of youth. But I did. My grammar was good. But that meant that I had to work as a nanny, more or less full-time as well. Yeah. And managed to insert the French civilization, as they called it, in inverted commas, civilization course I did there. So anyway, it's been a long journey of learning, and I'm still learning. Yeah.
But you're going to bring some of that wisdom to the ICC.
Oh, crikey, I wouldn't call it that. Maybe anecdotes, but I'll try. Yes.
And appropriately, it's on May the 1st, May Day, a day of activism.
Yes, and labour.
And you've got a lecture which it actually opens the series of Wednesday lectures that Emma was talking about a little bit earlier.
That's right.
And it's called These Wildish Things, and it explores the political activism of Irish women.
Yes, in London in particular, I thought I would concentrate on, because, of course, we talk all the time about marginalisation and inclusivity and the business of being hidden from history. Well, let me tell you, there's been loads of political activities, particularly by women, that are completely marginalised. They're buried under the bed, the whole lot, maybe in people's lofts, I don't know, crates of papers and all the rest. Wow. But there's an extraordinary catalogue of all sorts of political work that was done by groups of women, whether it was on supporting women prisoners here in jail, usually political prisoners, or supporting women coming for abortions, or all sorts of what some people might call philanthropy, because women are doing it, but I called it politics, most definitely. And now, finally, how many years on, I'm invited to give a lecture. Yes. Wow, and I'm 80, so that must be a landmark that they've allowed me in.
Never give up.
They let me in.
Because for a long time, women weren't given platforms to lecture or to speak, were they? Well, the Irish women in the Irish community.
Well, if they had anything to say like me, no, they wouldn't be anywhere near it. There was a bad smell was what you brought with you.
So were you always active in politics, probably politics with a small p, or was there some inciting incident?
Well, the backstreet abortion did really make me sit back and think, what's going on here? For sure. It wakes you up in a very serious way. You are on the road to motherhood and had no idea how you got there, and no idea of what you might do. And being a stranger here, I couldn't just walk into an Irish centre or to the Irish embassy or the consulate or anything like that and say, what on earth can I do? And being secular, not religious, you wouldn't veer towards the usual suspects like the Legion of Mary and the rest. Well, maybe it wouldn't have been a bad idea, but it wouldn't have been my cup of tea, the Legion of Mary, and I think they would have got rid of me very quickly anyway. So, yes, I had developed a kind of allergy to religion, because I spent years as a boarder in a convent where we seemed to spend a great deal of time praying. It was a bit like what I saw in places like Nepal and northern India, where all that chanting goes on. And I felt quite at home there. It was like, we chanted from 6:30 in the morning, endless decades of the rosary, but we never talked about our nether regions.
Right.
I mean, somehow or another, there was never any insights being talked about at 6:30 in the morning or any other time when we were going to bed and we had two nuns sleeping in the dormitory. They never imparted any knowledge, but they were great at the praying, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
wow.
And I ended up doing stand-up comedy here as well, as Ross very well knows.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Brilliant.
it brought in a lot of those kind of experiences. So anyway, what I'm going to talk about is what you want to know. Is, first of all, I want to survey some of the groups that I was involved in and the kind of politics that we pursued. And the fact, I suppose, that we were marginalised during the Troubles because the Irish had a tendency to bury their heads here, which I cannot blame them for. It was very dicey. And one puts oneself in a lot of danger, I think, if you wrote about conditions on the ground, as I did. It was very, very restrictive what you could write about. So a lot of talking went on. But that, and of course I'm also talking about the business of fighting on two fronts. That is on the Irish front, with Ireland exporting its women who wanted to have abortions. And that went for North and South. And that became an extensive operation. And I was involved in a support movement for somebody who doesn't like philanthropy. Let's say I was a philanthropist for 20 years, putting women up and
let them stay in your house.
Let them stay in the house, drive them around. My husband became very good at that. He was the driver, and supporting and raising money, of course, because abortions are expensive, and you not under the NHS if you're a foreign national. So talking about that and the fact that we highlighted the war on women's bodies and their right to own them or have some say in how they should be treated, or how, what we might decide whether we want to be mothers or not, in association with all the women's groups in Ireland that were fighting those kind of things. So that's me.
Fantastic. Mary, were you aware of the kind of work that Anne was doing at the time?
I had no idea. Oh, no, I had no idea, because I wasn't involved in anything like that. But I will say that I was brought up, was pretty avant-garde. I didn't follow the crowd in Catholicism, the people that brought me up. My father had TB, and he was in Newcastle Hospital, County Wicklow. And the main man there who saved him was a man called Dr. Noel Brown.
Wow, amazing.
And Clan na Public, sir, was a new political party. Noel Brown was made medical man in the government, and he brought out what he called the mother and baby scheme. And there was a man called Archbishop McQuaid.
Oh, my God.
Who ruled the roost. And women were destroyed all over the place.
Absolutely.
By the nuns and Archbishop McQuaid. And Noel Brown brought out this mother and baby scheme because to stop all these poor Irish girls being sent over to England on boats and trains to have abortions. And then mainly, as far as I know it, they were impregnated by either there were lots of country girls, so they were impregnated by their brothers, uncles, fathers, because they never got out. And they never met anybody outside. Anyway, there was Noel Brown did this. He made, and do you know that Archbishop McQuaid destroyed Dr. Noel Brown? Yes. He was thrown out of the government eventually because he dared to protect mothers who were pregnant and they weren't married. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, and that's not that long ago.
No, I know. In my time.
What fascinates me about your story is I'd love to know a little bit more about where you met. Were these the meetings of the various? Yeah. Were they in Clerkenwell pubs? Were they in dives in Soho? Where did you meet?
Well, we met in a variety of places. There was a growing women's centre development near Inquex Road in West Hampstead, near the Catholic Church, yes, the huge one. There was a very large house that was owned by the council, and it was going to be pulled down, and so we more or less squatted there. And there were a number of Irish nurses in our group, and we used to do pregnancy testing. There were a lot of Irish women who were afraid to go to the doctor and say that they thought they might be pregnant. So if you went, we had an old battered fridge, and we had all these bottles. And I know I probably remember it wrongly, but they were full of piss, each one of the bottles. And they were milk bottles, the old milk bottle, you know, the one with the big belly. And I just wondered, God, why did they need so much urine in order to do the test? So the nurses used to nick the tests from the hospital. And yes, we would stand up and say, yes, we nicked it, but it was all in a good cause. And we would do, not me, but the group would do the testing. Also, we had a rudimentary place where women could stay the night if they were the subject of violence in the home and bring their children. But we didn't have any of the necessary permissions that you have to have, you know, so it really only could be a night or so. And then someone like me, I lived in West End Lane, not far away, and I would put up in my bedsit, you know, put up a woman for a couple of nights. And I'd had all of that in my own family, where my father went on binges and beat my mother up and me. And so, and then he wouldn't remember when he finally got sober, he had no memory, he said, of ever having done any of that. But anyway, that memory was with me, so I was very keen to be involved. And that was the very early movement, which was very cottage industry, absolutely nothing formal at all. We had no data that we kept. We didn't keep people's names, addresses. You could give whatever name you liked. And so, yes, anybody who had a large room, whether it was a bedroom or a sitting room or whatever, we had our meetings there. And there were a lot of squats. And so I was in and out of an awful lot of squats that we had for that purpose, and also for people meeting. So it was very exciting. We weren't coming into nice places like this where you have all the mod cons to give your talk.
Well, you will be back at this lovely, nice place with all the mod cons and the lovely bar and the busy foyer. And you're here on May the 1st.
That's right, it's 7 o'clock.
Your lecture's called These Wildish Things. You'll be taking Q&A.
I'm one of the Wildish Things, yes. And that's
a
quote from a very, very important poet in Irish feminist history, Ethne Strong. Yeah, and she was a Limerick woman like myself. County Limerick, not the city.
And Anne's lecture is the first of 5 lectures that we're having on the Wednesdays during that month, May. Yeah,
And
so
they're
we've
all
got-
sorts of history, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. They're absolutely brilliant lectures.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
very
Anne.
much
And
for
thank you for
allowing me
staying.
in.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Mary.
staying with us.
Thank you, Anne.